Hi everyone. So, on realistic fiction, I think this is a great genre for students to read. I've loved reading this genre. I have many books that I have loved to read about. So, it's kind of great that I understand most of the stories that we're discussing, and the genre is really something that has impacted me as a reader. Um, I think this is a great genre as many adolescents are going through changes in their life and they're trying to figure out who they are at a young age. And it's something that they kind of get to explore and understand different avenues instead of trying to take those avenues and do the dangerous things that our parents don't always want us to do. So it's kind of a way for them to explore, you know, drugs and alcohol, violence, sex, different kind of emotional backgrounds that people have, kind of things they might not want to go through or they have gone through already. They kind of want to have an understanding or kind of explore about at a young age. So I think it's really good for readers to kind of get an understanding of this genre and what it can do to help them kind of grow and become a better person as they're getting older, kind of identify who they are. So it's really good to help them explore that. I've loved this genre. I think this genre is great. It kind of puts a perspective on differences that are in this world that we might not always talk about. This genre had a lot of different topics that were not always discussed in the classroom because parents were afraid that they would get the kids kind of engaged in this topic, such as a classic novel, The Outsiders. A lot of parents didn't want their kids reading that because it had violence, it had gangs, it had death, it had a lot of emotional things in it that parents didn't want their kids to kind of become. So that was a big break when these different types of stories and these different genres kind of hit. And I think that was really good. That was a really good book to kind of show that and show that it's okay to understand differences in the world. And just because we read something doesn't mean we have to do that, or just because we are interested in something doesn't mean that's something that we're going to become. Such as you're probably not going to go out and start a gang and just kill people because you're trying to defend yourself, as in The Outsiders. So it's something that has been developing over the years, and I really like how it brings up kind of non-touching topics that parents and teachers don't really want to discuss. So it's a really good way to kind of bring in that topic of dangerous subjects that have been banned in the past. I really like how that was a good part of this. I think that this genre has a role in the classroom, obviously, as it allows students to express maybe what they are going through. A lot of the different genres, not genres, topics in this genre discuss emotional things such as depression, anxiety, eating disorders. So maybe something that a student is going through, and kind of reading a story like this. Classic one that I have read is called Winter Girls, and the girl in the story is trying to be a perfect version of herself as she thinks, almost like Barbie, and she has an eating disorder because of this, and she counts her calories and is constantly trying to be a perfect thin version of herself. And if any student has been going through that, or if they understand what's that kind of like, it's really good to kind of give them perspective and kind of let them know they're not in this alone, and that people have gone through this, and it kind of lets them know that this is not something that is just going happening with them. It's something that other people have gone through. So I really like that. I think it has definitely had a role in the classroom. If students want to explore something, I think it's a safe way they can explore, drugs or alcohol if they don't want to know what it's about. There's lots of stories that kind of talk about that, such as Speak. Speak is a big one that I think a lot of people have read, and it definitely had an impact on me when I read it. And rape, and how this one girl had to go through school and how she dealt with it, and kind of how she had to overcome finding her voice again and standing up for herself against this guy who took advantage of her. So that was a really big one, and I think that kind of brings in the topic of empathy with these stories, how you can have an understanding of what someone's going through and really feel for them and understand that what they're going through is really difficult, and it might not be something that you're going through, but that empathy that they are learning through reading these stories and understanding maybe what this person's dealing with or how it is affecting them, I think is really important in this story, and it really shows what other people are going through. So it really gives you an understanding of that. I really think that the many themes in this genre are really important. From our text in chapter 5, it goes about the themes and how many of the themes are overcoming fears. I think that's a big one. So understanding family divorce, that's something that definitely happens in a lot of students' lives. And if it doesn't, they might have a friend who is having a family divorce or hasn't been adopted. So it's really good to understand stories that kind of give them a sense of that they're not alone with this, other people are going through this, or give them a sense of empathy and maybe comforting a friend that's been dealing with something like this. Relationships, a big one. Friendship is something I think that's really important. Developing, a lot of them have a sense of development. A good story for that is The Perks of Being a Wallflower, and in that story our main character is going through a lot and trying to mature and become an adult, and the friends that he ends up with are really important to him, and that one is just a great story to help understand that. Romance, coping with violence, alcohol, I really like how the many of the stories, such as The Outsiders, have discussed that. So it really kind of opens up a safe space for students living with physical and mental disabilities. So even just having a disability, dealing with death, sexual relationships, I really like how many of the topics deal with things that people don't always want to discuss, and it kind of gives kids an outlet to deal with that. So I really like that. I think the article that I had chose to read was The Risk of Literature, or Literature as a Risk, I think it was called. And a quote I have from this is, "Do we really need more books that enhance violence too?" Well, yes, I believe we do. And all the great literatures can give its readers that new and old media can't. Media can't is the experience of empathy and sympathy. Books can take their readers into the interior lives of characters in ways that television and videos can't. So I think that was something that really struck me in that article, how a lot of kids these days are getting their information through the media or through the internet, and books kind of, and books hold a different experience for students through empathy and sympathy, and kind of a different thing, because through the media it's discussing in this article cyberbullying, and how a lot of cyberbullying, they really are not connecting with who they're picking on. They're really just kind of just saying things they shouldn't and being really rude and cruel. So they're bullying people, and reading a story and understanding what someone's going through in their own words in a realistic version really kind of sets that empathy up for students and understanding maybe how they can deal with this situation. So I really like that one. That quote I had about cyberbullying is the fastest growing form of bullying happening around the world, said CJ Bolt. So I really think that was something that they said. I liked how they discussed that. And I think just overall, it's a great genre to bring into the classroom. So thank you.